Let's start with a question you've probably asked yourself many times. Why do I keep putting things off, even when I know I shouldn't? When your brain perceives a task as boring, difficult, overwhelming, or filled with uncertainty, it triggers discomfort. It could be a paper, a work project, a difficult conversation, anything that brings anxiety, fear of failure, or even just mental effort. When you care deeply about doing something right, the pressure can become paralyzing. It treats future you like a stranger, someone else who can deal with the consequences. So when you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," your brain feels relief, because it believes it's no longer your problem. But when tomorrow comes, that stranger becomes you again, and the cycle starts all over. First, you need to understand that procrastination is a habit loop made of triggers, responses, and rewards. The key to breaking it is awareness and replacement. Instead of judging yourself, start noticing the pattern. What task are you avoiding? What emotion are you trying to escape? What do you turn to instead? Once you identify this loop, you can begin to shift it. Start by making tasks feel smaller. The brain resists big, vague tasks, so break them down. Write report becomes open document and write the first sentence. Take away the fear of failure by focusing on progress, not perfection. The task still hasn't disappeared, but now the stress has multiplied. Like listening to music while cleaning or working in your favorite cafe while studying. This tricks the brain into associating the task with a small reward. Also, practice self-compassion. Research shows that people who forgive themselves for procrastinating are less likely to repeat the behavior. Shame doesn't motivate change, it just deepens the loop. And still, the brain craves that same short-term relief. It chooses comfort over consequence, again and again. Over time, your brain learns that you don't always need to escape discomfort, that you can sit with it, face it, and move through it. And that's how real change begins. You might delay starting because deep down, you're afraid you won't live up to your own standards. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with choices, what to eat, what to reply, what to wear, what to focus on, your brain becomes exhausted. And when it's tired, it defaults to the easiest route. That's why you procrastinate more in the afternoon or evening. Your willpower, your mental energy, your motivation, they've all been used up. Your brain wants something easy, fast, and enjoyable. It's not that you don't want to work, it's that your brain doesn't have enough fuel to push through the resistance anymore. It's safer to avoid the task than to risk doing it badly. When the deadline is too close to ignore, your brain flips into survival mode. Suddenly, the fear of failure outweighs the discomfort of the task. Your stress skyrockets, adrenaline kicks in, and now, finally, you're focused. This is the crisis trigger. And for many people, this is the only way they can work. Not because it's effective, but because it's the only time their brain stops resisting. But while this might get things done occasionally, it comes at a cost: stress, burnout, lowered performance, and a constant feeling of being behind. And ironically, the more important the task, the more likely you are to delay it. Your brain associates it with higher stakes, and that triggers more fear, more stress, and more avoidance. It becomes a self-sabotaging cycle. The longer you wait, the worse you feel, and the worse you feel, the harder it becomes to start. And your brain, which is constantly scanning for threats, sees this discomfort as something to escape from. So instead of tackling the task, it redirects your attention to something more pleasant, more familiar, or more immediately rewarding, like your phone, food, music, or random tasks that feel productive but aren't the thing you actually need to do. You sit down to work, but somehow you end up scrolling on your phone, binge-watching something, or cleaning your room like your life depends on it. The deadline is there. The pressure is rising. You know what needs to be done, yet you do everything else. Now here's the twist: this isn't laziness. This isn't a character flaw. In fact, it's something your brain secretly loves. Yes, your brain loves procrastination. It's wired for it in ways most people don't realize. And once you understand why, everything starts to make more sense: your habits, your guilt, your stress, and even your last-minute bursts of energy. So in this video, we're diving deep into the psychology of procrastination, not to shame it, but to understand it. Because once you understand it, you can finally start to change it. To begin with, you need to know that procrastination is not a time management issue, it's an emotional regulation issue. Here's where it gets more interesting. Your brain is designed to seek pleasure and avoid pain. This mechanism is rooted in survival. Long ago, avoiding pain meant staying alive. And even though the dangers today are less about wild animals and more about emails and to-do lists, your brain doesn't always know the difference. It sees discomfort as danger and looks for relief. That's why checking social media or watching a YouTube video feels so good in the moment. It gives your brain a quick hit of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. And guess what? The brain remembers that. Every time you avoid a hard task and choose a fun one, your brain learns that procrastination equals relief. Over time, this becomes a habit, a loop, a well-worn pathway in your mind. But it's not just about escape, it's also about perfectionism. Smart, driven people often procrastinate the most. Why? Because they fear failure. Procrastination is also closely tied to your future self. Your brain isn't great at seeing your future self as you. Another layer is decision fatigue. Now let's talk about the moment you finally start, the last-minute rush. So, what can you do about it? Use something called temptation bundling. Pair the task you're avoiding with something you enjoy. And finally, train your brain to delay gratification in small ways. Pause before opening your phone. Breathe before distracting yourself. Create little moments of control.